And we're live.
Good evening. Welcome to the Cinco de Mayo version of the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Board of Trustees meeting. The board did meet in closed session this evening and took no reportable action in closed session. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Superintendent Geisels, do we have any changes to this evening's agenda?
No, we do not, President Zurich.
Would someone like to move approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Board Member Levac, are you on?
We close the door.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing. Board Member,
I
okay.
see Kirsten. Oh, there she is.
Kirsten, we can't hear you.
Can you do a test?
And so we'll move on from that for now, and we'll get that fixed up for her. Okay. Public comment. This is the opportunity for anyone who would like to make public comment to do so this evening. This is not meant to be an interactive part of the meeting, but the opportunity for the board to hear what folks have to say. We have received written public comment, which we all received in advance of the meeting, and that we do all read. So we appreciate, I believe there was 12 folks who did that. We also have some in-person public comment and telephone public comment. We also have 30 minutes for our initial public comment period. And then for whatever public comment we don't get to, we'll take after we've done the board's business throughout the meeting. So what I'd like to do this evening is I'm going to start with the first in-person comment. And I'm going to ask our tech whiz over here, our tech whizzes, we have two tonight, to then we'll take a telephone comment next, and then we'll go back to an in-person comment. I'd like folks who telephone in to know that we're also paying attention to what they have to say rather than always relegating them to the end of the meeting. So we're going to start first with a public comment from Tina Cook. And did I mention comments are 3 minutes? So we'll either cut off the telephone comment or ask folks to wrap up. And someone is paying attention to the overall 30 minutes, please.
While we're waiting, could we have the back door open for airflow, but not that one because it's a little noisy? Please, thank you, Lisa.
So we're starting at 6:35.
Okay, thank you. 5:30.
You have to be comfortable.
Hi. Okay. Well, I'm tall, so. Hi, everybody. How are you? I am a 5th grade teacher at Truckee Elementary. This is my 6th year teaching, but it's my 3rd year in our district. I've never, ever been as excited and enthusiastic about my job as I have since joining TTUSD and Truckee Elementary. I feel incredibly supported, appreciated by both my 5th grade staff members, my administration who supports us so amazingly, and then also the parents. They've just been wonderful. I'm a single parent. I'm raising 2 children in the TTUSD district. These are difficult times. It's really hard.
Deep breath.
As a single parent raising 2 children in our district, it's very hard to live on the salary. Since January 2020 to January 2021, housing prices have gone up 64%, about. Rent has gone up, for me, 25% in the last 2 months. My rent is now half my income. This is not reasonable. This is not the way to live, right? It's not working. My sons, by the way, are in high school, and they eat a lot. So just on a side note. My concern is that TTUSD board and, sorry, I'm nervous. Board and our superintendent don't fully understand some of the housing issues for our teachers with our current salary. and how this is impacting us all tremendously. I am dedicated to the children in the Tahoe region and to the children in my classroom. I want to stay in the community, and I want to see my children through their high school years here. However, paying 50% of my salary to my rent is really not realistic and is extremely challenging. So I have a couple of comments, but a couple of questions as well. How have you or how are you going to address rising costs of housing and its impacts on our teachers? The cost of housing and our current salaries may deter new young teachers from joining our district that can't afford to live here. Tenured and probationary teachers may need to leave the area because we can't afford to live here. People currently buying into our community are driving up prices of both housing, rental, and purchase prices, and the cost of living. What are the actual solutions that we can find? Workforce housing.
Tina, I need to ask you to wrap up.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, in closing, I know that I'm not the only one. I have always wanted to be a teacher. I actually chose this career later in life. My mom always said you'll never make it as a teacher because of the salary, and I never thought she might be right. And that's really frustrating and hard because I want to keep doing what I love. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Tina. We really appreciate you talking to us. So we'll move to a telephone public comment, please. Kirsten, can you speak to us for a moment?
She can't hear us.
She can't. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the first public comment for phone is from Nancy Calley.
Hi, I'm calling to support a fair raise for the faculty of the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District in order to keep up with inflation in our area. My husband and I know firsthand how the home values have increased significantly in our area. We are appraisers and have been doing this in the Tahoe area for 27 years. So with the increase in rents, utilities, gas, groceries in our area, it's only fair to increase the salaries of the faculty and to keep up with the cost of living here. The property values have gone up over 24%, and there is limited inventory, multiple offers on homes in this area, and it's tough for these hardworking teachers and faculty to keep up without having the means to support themselves. And if we want to keep good faculty in our school district, then we need to have their income reflect this.
Okay, thank you. Gigi Greenberger, please.
Okay, all right, thanks. Hello again.
Hi, Gigi.
Okay, first of all, I just wanted to appreciate, is that too close, or? Okay, I appreciate the effort overall to get our kids back into class in school. I really do. In preparation for the coming school year, I'm here to kindly ask you, the elected board of members, to stand up and advocate on behalf of this community to the teachers union, the county, the state agencies, to grant parents and children the choice whether to mask or not to mask our kids at school. The CDC itself is in their fine print, have stated that the wearing of masks has only lowered the case death rates to between 0.7 and 1.9%. Is this really a solid case to require masks for everyone? Least of all our children, who represent the least vulnerable and the least likely to transmit this virus that has a 99.5% recovery rate. Wearing a mask may make people feel like they're doing something, yet it does not justify the risk to the health and well-being of the future adult generation in our society, our children. There are numerous medical professionals and scientists worldwide that have determined masks to be ineffective and harmful. Masks impede the oxygen flow, causing irreparable damage, especially to children, whose brains are developing physically and psychologically. Masks are not porous enough to allow carbon dioxide to fully dissipate, creating toxicity to the body. According to OSHA, elevated CO2 at 2,000 and 5,000 parts per million causes headaches, sleepiness, stagnant, stale, stuffy air, poor concentration, increased heart rate, nausea, toxicity, and oxygen deprivation. These are levels and higher that are recorded when wearing a mask. Try this for yourselves. A study from Germany using an open registry of over 25,000 children shows 68% of parents reporting these symptoms or more in their children. Masks are not capable of stopping the life cycle of a virus. Viruses die out and mutate as they take their natural course in life. Our innate, God-given immune system is designed to process viruses. Why try to impede that by decreasing our immune response by wearing a mask? Masks trap exhaled viral pathogens in the mouth-mask interspace and increase the severity of illness. How often does anyone change or wash their masks? Wearing a mask gives people a false sense of security, where they may not take otherwise more common sense precautions. Masks compromise communication and reduce social interaction. How is that good for kids especially? Wearing a mask, I only have a few more minutes so I can finish.
like
Wearing a mask causes the exhaled air to go into the eyes, therefore people rub their eyes more. Weren't we told not to touch our face and rub our eyes? Forcing me as a parent who loves my
Gigi, you
children
need to
more than
wrap up.
any human authority, and forcing my child to wear a mask is just unethical. This important topic needs to be addressed as an agenda item at the next meeting. Please allow choice from asking. If those that want to wear a mask, wear one. Those that don't, don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Gigi. So, Joan, that's my last card that I have for this item. So if there's anyone else who's interested, if they could line up so we could get people quickly, so as many that can talk to us that we can.
You can please make sure that anybody who comes in this room is wearing a mask. Please ask them.
Well, we can just speak up and ask her to put it back on. So can we do the next telephone, please?
She just wanted to show it to me.
Yeah.
My name is Anne-Marie, and I support the teachers of the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District in their proposal to increase their salary due to the increase of taxes and the cost of living in the Tahoe Truckee area. I think they've deserved it, and they've done a wonderful job during COVID. Aside from COVID, they support our children. Please give them the raise. Thank you.
Why don't we go to another telephone comment, please? Does someone have sound on back there? Okay. There's 3. Okay. Are they ready to go? Why don't we have the next one come in, please?
Hey, Kelly?
Are you ready for me?
We are so ready for you.
Awesome. All right, so thank you for letting me speak here tonight. I'm happy to be speaking, or that you give me an opportunity to speak. I think it's important for you to hear the perspective of teachers. So there's a divide between what the district is willing to provide for teachers and what teachers think we deserve. It's confusing and frustrating for a lot of us because we know you, and we know that you are compassionate, rational, good people who have supported education and educators in the past. I love my job. I love the school I work at. Woo-woo, NTHS. I love my kids' school, and I have, until quite recently, really loved working in the district. In the past year, I've worked harder than I have since I was a first-year teacher, and I can say the same for many other teachers at NTHS. There's not a single teacher at NTHS who just shows up and simply goes through the motions. Every teacher has hit the ground running every time we've been asked to pivot our instructions. When we pivoted to distance learning, to hybrid, back to distance learning with 12 hours notice, back to hybrid, and finally to full-time 5 days teaching. Each of these transitions has required us to reconfigure our lesson plans, our methods of assessment, and our timing. This has caused stress. It's taken a toll on our health, our sleep, our family responsibilities, and despite this, every teacher I know has jumped when the district asked us to jump, and has done it with grace and professionalism, keeping the students' best interests in mind. The district and the schools have been awarded and acknowledged for the amazing teaching going on in classrooms. Shouldn't everything be done to ensure that the district continues to provide quality instruction? And isn't the way to do this by retaining the wonderful staff that we have in addition to attracting new teachers? If the district doesn't compensate staff, I can't imagine this continuing to be the case. We all know that the cost of homes has increased, but also has the cost of groceries, construction, household supplies, and more. We understand that a cost of living adjustment may not allow teachers to afford homes in the area, but it may help with other increased costs. The upside of the increased property taxes is the increased revenues that TTUSD has received. Please show the teachers that we are appreciated and a priority by giving us a cost of living adjustment. I don't know a single teacher who got into the profession for the money, and I doubt there are any, if any, out there. We're not being greedy. We and our families are bound by the financial pressures of daily living, saving for our kids' college, caring for aging adults or aging parents, paying mortgages, rent, insurance, planning for retirement. Please consider doing what you can to provide us with a salary increase that we not only want, but we need. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So if we could go to a telephone comment, please.
This is from Penny Morris.
Hi, I would like to submit this comment in support of salary increases for our teachers in TTUSD. Based on the data, it doesn't seem like there is a significant financial downfall to this. However, there would be a significant financial downfall to the teachers that work here and to our overall community. I believe not supporting a wage increase for our teachers would have a really negative impact on our community overall and would increase the likelihood of teachers to leave due to the incredibly high cost of living here. As you are all aware, housing increases have skyrocketed this year. So in addition to that, and a year where we've been working remotely and our teachers have been putting in overtime and working in incredible situations, I think it really speaks poorly on the board not to approve a wage increase and or not to consider more recognition for our teachers. So I certainly would urge you to do so for your own benefit, for the benefit of our community, and certainly for the retention of our teachers, as they absolutely deserve it and need it, and it's the right thing to do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Joan.
I know you're tall, but speaking into the microphone,
Oh, okay.
I'll put it right there.
Nice. Okay. Ready? Okay. Hi, I'm Mark Brady, English teacher, English department chair at Truckee High School. And like some of the speakers before me, I'd like to recommend and thank the board and the staff for all the work you've done over the years. I've been here a long time, probably longer than anyone here, maybe except for maybe Dana. I don't know. Sorry, Dana, about that. But I'm sure you're all familiar with the lottery. My brother and I always play it. He encourages me to play, so I appease him, and I sometimes do. I argue that I don't want to risk my money or future earnings when I can invest in something more reasonable and with a better return. I'm asking you to do the same and invest in the future of the district by not playing the lottery, but by making a solid and dependable choice by investing in teachers. Investing in teachers and staff in the past has led to a valuable return in the form of successes for the district. In addition to the numerous awards, accolades, and successes the district has seen from our hardworking and talented staff, most importantly, we have produced some outstanding students, many of whom have gone on to prestigious universities and schools, and they've also gone on to become great citizens in our community and had successful lives. Ironically, perhaps we've done our job too well. Real estate prices have gone through the roof in Truckee. Zillow has the average median price at $860,000, and Redfin lists the median price at over $1 million. Our district, driven by this quality staff, has given us a great reputation, thereby making our area an even more desirable place to live. Recruiting quality teachers and staff is a difficult job. I've tried to get friends who are in education to relocate here, but when they see the cost of living and the price of real estate, they can't take on the financial burden to move here. Joan's done an admirable job over the years recruiting some superior talent. In our English department alone, we have 3 young new teachers, Dan Cunningham, Bryce Worley, and Alex Close. But will they stay? Can they afford to stay? Can they have a meaningful, full future here, or will they be forced to move on from teaching? As I said, I've been here a long time, and I've seen a lot of staff come and go, good teachers, bad teachers, etc. But right now at Truckee High, we have a great staff, and I'd hate to see that go by the wayside because they can't afford to live here and don't have a future. So what I'm asking you to do is don't play the lottery with our district's future and approve the offer so we can attract and retain quality and successful staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for the analogy. A telephone comment, please.
This is from Emily Dubansky.
Hi, I'm a parent of 2 elementary school students at Glenshire Elementary, and I'm calling to say that I support the teachers' request for a raise this year. I believe that they deserve it more than anyone, especially right now. It's extremely important to me that our teachers continue to be able to live in the community that they teach in. I think that that is the secret sauce for our community staying strong and remaining the special place that it is. And I know that the district can afford to do this, and I don't understand why they would choose not to support our teachers who have sacrificed so much and worked so hard, especially this year and every year. So please, TTUSD, give the teachers what they're asking for. The property taxes have only gone up. I think you can look around and realize that they're only going to continue to go up for the foreseeable future. And I really hope that the district makes the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan, thanks for getting your steps in.
I don't know. She said she turned in a,
Yes, but you were for item 17.2, so I was going to take your comment with item 17.2.
Okay. I have a comment for 17.2, but I also wanted to help advocate for the teachers. So
Okay.
I just told Lupita, I was in the middle of writing and she just like grabbed me, like, we gotta go.
Okay, so let's get started. Go ahead, you have 3 minutes.
I was like, wait, I'm still thinking. So should I proceed? Okay, my name's Jennifer Stontiner. I have 3 children in the school district. My oldest is a junior at Truckee High. My middle student is 8th grade at Alder Creek Middle School. And my 6th grader is at North Tahoe School. My kids have been all over the district in all different schools. I feel like I've been a lifer in the district. I started as a teacher here. So I wanted to look at 17.2. I just wanted to know how long those mitigations would be in place.
So this comment is about anything that's not on this evening's agenda?
Oh, it's not?
That's this part of
This part?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll stick to advocating for the
Please.
teachers then. So I feel like the teachers in this district have given my students and my family a solid foundation in this community with their bilingual education and so many other creative, inventive ways that they have been educated through this different system and all these different school sites. I feel like really this isn't a district that should be causing teachers to struggle to make ends meet. This is a district that has the opportunity through resources to make decisions supporting the longevity of those teachers here. I think having those consistent teachers, the fact that my 3 children had the same 6th grade teachers and 4th grade teachers and 3rd grade teachers, that kind of consistency builds relationships and it builds, a dedication and a commitment from not just the teachers and staff, but from the families and the people who are helping and supporting all those teachers and all the wonderful things they do. So I feel like that consistency, that longevity, that can be achieved by, encouraging teachers to live here and stay here. And I know we had a teacher that used to travel from Alta. She was commuting from Alta. And I just thought, wow, that's a long way. And she must really care about these kids to make that journey every single day. Winter, summer, she was doing it all. She was teaching summer school. She was doing that for a long time. And I just feel like, it's nice to have all the teachers come, but I think it's also nice to have the families and the people that are the recipient of their good work come and say good things on their behalf. So that's it. Thank you.
Jennifer. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, telephone. And that was all the in-person, Joan? Thank you. I think we skipped Jeff Ream.
Oh, yes, sorry. So this is from Jeffrey.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Freeman. I'm a school counselor at North Tahoe High School. I'm also a dad, a husband, a part of a 4-person, 2-earner household, California taxpayer, and a member of our community. I'm calling in to encourage the Board of Education to support the TTUSD teachers and our teachers union work in more than just words. It goes without saying that the last 12 to 14 months has been a challenge for everyone, and I value the hard work that everyone in our district has put in. However, I have a couple questions that I'd like to pose. As the impact of salary on our day-to-day life is discussed, I wonder how many of the decision makers on the district side of the negotiations table have to worry about getting kicked out of their house and not being able to find a remotely reasonably priced place to rent if they can't find one at all. I wonder how many worry about ever having to buy a house in our area and live in our community. I wonder how many are beginning educators at the bottom of the salary scale and facing the challenge of balancing the cost of living in our area and the lack of housing. The fact of the matter is that if our living situation changed, my family would be having to move to nearly an hour's drive each way from my work site to find suitable and affordable housing. While housing is a whole other issue, it directly relates to our salary negotiation because the overall distance our pay goes has diminished over the past years and has not kept up with the rapidly rising costs associated with living in our community. While I don't want to imply that my hardworking colleagues representing the district don't deserve and earn every penny of their salary, I also believe that TTEA members, and CSEA for that matter, are all deserving of the ability to keep up with the rising costs of living in Tahoe. If we truly want to attract and retain the quality of professional educators this community relies on, this must become a place where we can afford to lay down our roots. Will this negotiated raise solve the issues we're facing? Of course not. But it will let us move closer to that goal. And ask any teacher. All teachers want 100% of the work turned in, but sometimes something is better than nothing. We can work with something. Please give us something to work with through a fair wage raise. Thank you for your hard work, and good night.
This is from Laura Kosic.
Hi, I am calling in regards to support our teachers through our school district here in regards to their annual raise increase. Very concerned for our school district teachers, our educators right now. I love our school, our Glenshire Elementary School. My daughter is in the 2nd grade. She has a disability, we're finding out, and without the school educators who have been on her and observing her and helping her, I don't know where we would be. I am all about our community, and I'm all about our educators. Our educators spend so much time with our children. It's appalling to me to think that we have the money to give them, and you aren't giving it to them. The tax increases, the amount of money that's coming into our community, the amount of money that you have been given through the district. I'm so frustrated hearing that 2% is something that you find feasible for them. This community is all about helping each other. Without these educators, without our school district being what it is, this community wouldn't even survive some of this stuff. Without our teachers, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know why this is a question. They deserve at least 5-6%. The fact that we even have the money and we aren't giving it to them in this reserve is absurd. Please make the right decision, do the right thing. Give these teachers who in the last 2 years have worked 3 times what they should have, keeping our kids up to date during this pandemic. We don't want our teachers traveling from other states to come here. We want them in our community. My daughter lights up like a Christmas tree when she gets to see her teachers in our community outside of school. It helps our teachers be better teachers, to be involved with our children, to be involved in this community. I don't understand how this is even a question. They spend so much money and time getting extra units just to stay afloat, to teach our children and be here. I think we need to make the right decision. I think you need to do the right thing. We need to give these teachers what they deserve to survive and be able to stand on one.
This is Rachel Farr.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent, Chief Learning Officer Geisels, and members of the Cabinet. Thank you so much for having a resolution around Teacher Appreciation Week and California Day of the Teacher. A resolution is lovely and appreciated, and a fair COLA would go a long way in showing that appreciation. I can't believe we are at impasse. I'm extremely saddened and discouraged. Is this what we want to role model for TTUSD students, that there is no compromise between our two positions? We teach children from TK through 12th grade to problem solve, compromise, and show empathy. We have a 13.9% reserve, far above a 3% mandate from the state. You have adopted a plan to raise this reserve to 15.67% next year and 16.42% the following year. I understand that the board's goal is to be fiscally prudent and save for financially hard times. But when is it enough? And when is it forsaking those who need the monetary support the most? Where is the 3-year plan for your TTUSD employees? Where is the plan to meet COLA? Where is the plan to help supplement the astronomical cost to live in a resort area? Where is the plan to make sure teachers and staff can afford rent and mortgages? Where is the plan to recruit new teachers who can afford to live here? You chose to put $2,650,000 into the reserve this year. A 1% raise for the educators is $285,000. This is approximately 1/9 of what you put in the reserve and what is standing between us and the current impasse. Are we not worth 1/9 of the reserve? Please choose us, your TTUSD staff, over a reserve that is extremely high during a time when we need a COLA that can help us to be able to stay here. Please invest in your staff as consistently as you invest in your reserve. Facilities have been invested in for the last 5 years. You were able to secure community votes for 2 expensive bond measures due to the quality of instruction and support occurring in these facilities. It is time to reward and compensate the staff that made this high-quality day-to-day instruction possible. Please settle this dispute not only with this supportive resolution, but with a monetary increase that says you are.
Thank you. So we will defer the rest of the public comment till the end of the meeting so we can move on with the business of the board at this time. So next we have our Superintendent Chief Learning Officer update.
Thank you, President Zurich. So there's many things going on this week, and of course, first and foremost, I want to acknowledge the wonderful staff that work with us in many different capacities. As you know, May 3rd through 7th is Teacher Appreciation Week, and always, especially during this time of year, we appreciate all of our teachers and their care and dedication to our students and families. Also on May 7th is the School Lunch Hero Day, and since Tuesday, March the 17th, 2021, TTUSD cooks have prepared over 321,000 school meals and counting daily. Each day since March 17th, food service staff members came to work, ready to serve the community despite COVID, changes in work hour, and a huge change to our operations literally overnight. Each kitchen went from preparing meals on site, serving on site, to now packaging individual meals and serving students on campus and neighborhoods. Also on May 12th is National Nurses Day. We want to thank our nurses Zan Larkins, Liz Ewing, and Ann Jacobson, and Tori Ewing for their continuous hard work and perseverance during these difficult times with COVID. They've been truly instrumental in keeping our students, staff, and campuses healthy and safe during COVID. We understand the Day of the Nurse comes once a year, but we want to lift them and acknowledge them for their tireless efforts for the past year, and especially within the last few weeks. Also, May 17th is Week of the Classified Employee. May 16th through 22nd is actually the week, and it's a time when we celebrate the roles and classified employees play in the lives of students and families. We're grateful for our food service employees, our bus drivers, our office staff members, our custodians, our maintenance, landscaping members, instructional assistants, therapists, tutors, all of our coordinators, our library, media specialists, everyone that's involved. And I apologize if I forgot you, but we are so grateful for all the work that you are doing. And also, another highlight is, and I know Mr. Waldman's next door in the gym, Sarah Continuation High School recently received a 6-year Clear Western Association of School and Colleges WASC accreditation. This is the highest accreditation that WASC offers. A few years ago, Coldstream Alternative also received 6-year Clear accreditation. This is the first time that these schools in TTUSD have been received the highest accreditation possible from WASC. And I believe this means that all of our high schools are now under a 6-year Clear WASC accreditation. So thank you, Mr. Woolman, for your leadership, and thank you to all of our high schools as well. So congratulations for that. And then regarding our COVID status at Truckee High School, I wanted to share this portion with Mr. Santos, and he's going to give us an update regarding what's going on at Truckee High as far as our COVID tests and COVID cases. Mr. Santos?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody. So just a couple of updates on the COVID front as Ms. Geisel shared. I'll share a little bit about Truckee High School as well as just district overview of COVID and where things are. Currently, our dashboard is showing that we have 35 active cases, 30 of which are from Truckee High School. So it definitely has been a busy week there at Truckee High. I do need to acknowledge Zan Larkins, our school nurse, the administration, office staff, and just the school staff in general for really being diligent through this busy process. It's definitely been time consuming, but in the same sense, we're excited that we're really trying to keep our students and staff healthy and safe. Just for a definition though, in terms of active cases on the dashboard for those that are watching online and those that are listening, active case on our dashboard is only for those that have tested positive and they stay on there for a 14-day period. And the reason we keep the 14 days is because that's part of the guideline for if we need to either close the school or pivot to distance learning. So I want individuals to know that if there is a case on there, there might be a student or a staff member that was positive and has returned, but their number will stay on. And obviously, there's no association with the number to anybody in order to protect all those individuals under HIPAA. I do also want to note that all of our cases actually have been as a result of outside events. There have been several events outside, and I'd like to just illustrate that not to let our guard down when we're out in the community, to continue to be diligent about mitigation measures, especially if we want to keep our school doors open, have after-school events, including graduation ceremonies and so forth coming down the road. But that's also a testament of our mitigation measures in our district in terms of keeping those numbers low, and including not having any contracted cases within our schools. So huge thanks to everybody that's continuing to follow those rules. One thing I do want to also note is that we are in constant communication with public health. We consult with them. They meet with us regularly, especially during this Truckee High School situation with high numbers. So I just wanted to remind folks that we are in constant communication with them. The threshold that's been set in our district, if we have to pivot back to distance learning, is 5% of our total students and staff on campus. That does not include cohort C students. During that time, it's essentially 14 days we're monitoring that. So you might see the dashboard fluctuate where there might be cases coming off. And so there might also be cases being added. So that's something that we're constantly monitoring on that front as well. Two last pieces. On the quarantine front, if individuals are supposed to quarantine, it's imperative that they follow through with that rule. The reason being is we're really trying to minimize, obviously, the spread. One thing I do want to highlight is that public health has come out and has reduced the 14-day requirement for quarantine to 10 days. They've loosened on that, but they've also illustrated and shared that organizations can still maintain that 14 days if they are unable to keep those individuals 6 feet apart for days 11, 12, 13, and 14. So I want the public to know that our district, along with other districts in our county, we have in unison stuck with the 14 days because we really want to ensure that our students and staff are safe during that process. And then the last is if your child has to quarantine and they're not symptomatic, getting a negative test does not decrease their quarantine time. And so some have asked if they get 2 or 3 negative tests, can they come back earlier under the 14 days? And that is not correct. So I just wanted the public to be aware of that as well. So lots going on, but as always, student services, we're always around and available to answer any and all of your questions that relates to COVID. You can also reach out to your local school nurse. And as Ms. Geisel shared earlier, our nurses have done a fabulous job, and I do have to give a shout out to all 4 of them. Liz Ewing, Ann Jacobson, Zen Larkins, and Tori Ewing as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santos, and you as well have been working really hard to support them. So we need to make sure that you understand and acknowledge how appreciative we are. And we're asking just for parents and students and staff members just to continue to be diligent about putting safety first. We're not quite out of the woods yet. So we ask if you could just continue to stay safe and keep our schools open. We need your help, and without that, we may not be able to do that. And then the last thing I'd like to discuss is the potential grant funding that we're working on. The leadership team, the principals and assistant principals and cabinet, have been working on the expanded learning grant. It is a grant funding that all districts stand to receive, and it's in big buckets, which is supplemental instruction, support for social emotional well-being, bandwidth connectivity, even foods and snacks. So on the May 19th board meeting, we'll be presenting to the board our first draft of our expanded learning opportunities plan, and we'll be including strategies that the leadership team has focused on and ask for board input, and then we'll present you the final grant proposal on June 1st. And with that, I wanted Todd, Mr. Rivera, to be able to discuss what exactly will we get as far as funding for the ELO, Expanded Learning Grant, and also the Sr3 funds that you keep hearing about. So he's going to just give a real quick, brief overview with that.
Thank you. And we discussed at the various interim reports that this year we've actually received several COVID-19 related one-time funding sources this year, which really provided the financial resources to do all the additional things that we needed to do this year, everything from additional staffing supports to instructional materials, technology, as well as safety and mitigation measures. And without that, that would have really been a difficult situation financially for the district. So we were able to use those funds for both the distance learning portion of the school year as well as hybrid and in-person instruction 5 days. We do have some other funding sources that are coming down the pipeline. We've already talked a little bit about the AB 86 funding, which is comprised of two different pieces. One is the return to in-person instruction grants, which for us is approximately $1.1 million. Those funds are fairly flexible in their use. They can be used for anything as long as it's related to in-person instruction. The second funding source through AB 86 that Superintendent Geisels mentioned was the expanded learning grants. And those are a little bit more restrictive in nature. As she shared, it's mostly for expanded learning opportunities, additional supports for our students, learning loss mitigation, and those types of related activities, including before and after school programs, amongst other things. So right now, we are working on that plan, trying to find the way to most effectively use those resources in order to bring our students back up to speed in the next fiscal year and possibly beyond. That amount for us is approximately $2.4 million. And then finally, the Sr3 funding that we're going to be receiving, we don't have a lot of details on that. Right now, it looks like the estimated amount for us is approximately $2.7 million. However, we're a little unclear on exactly what restrictions and reporting requirements will be required. At first glance, it looks like it'll be very similar to the previous ESSER fund allocations that we received as far as how we can utilize and spend that money. However, there are additional restrictions that are kind of coming down as we progress through this. We expect to have more details in the next few weeks or so.
Thank you, Todd. And finally, I would like to wish all of our mothers in the TTUSD community a very early but very happy Mother's Day. And that's all that I have.
Thank you, Superintendent Geisels. You too. I did have a question for Todd. So, we've heard over the last period of time about the money that you're talking about. It's a significant amount of money. The challenge we have is that it's for a limited duration. It's one-time money. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. The previous monies that we have received, for the most part, those were either expended or they've been encumbered or planned for already just from this fiscal year. These new funding sources, AB 86, as well as the Sr3 funds, are not only one time, but they're restricted in the amount of time we have to spend it. But these funds are not only just for next fiscal year and the current fiscal year as well, if you can find ways to spend it this year, but also the following year. And that's right now what we're going through with the planning process is determining the programs that we implement, how long we'll have to continue those to bring our kids back up to speed.
I think what I'm trying to get to is we can't utilize that money for ongoing pay for our staff because then we would run out and have to say, sorry, that's over. And so we have to be really careful about expectations that we set and how we talk about what those funds can be used for.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, that's one of the things that you learn in school finance is that you don't spend one-time monies for ongoing expenditures.
Right. But that's hard to understand for those of us who aren't finance weenies.
Kim, thank you for bringing that up, because that was a question that I had.
Sorry.
The 99% of us that aren't. But no, Todd, thank you for that, because I had the same idea and that same question. If we have that much money coming in, it is definitely earmarked for COVID mitigations. And then the other thing is you said that it was for this year and next year. And then is there another possibility of getting more COVID funding? Is that the next, we could potentially get more COVID funding?
That we don't know.
We don't know.
I don't anticipate that. I think there's been some pretty big dollar amounts that have been distributed or allocated from the federal government to the different states. I mean, we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Geisels.
Thank you.
So next to one of our favorite parts of every meeting, and we haven't gotten to do this in so long. Tonight we get to recognize our classified employees of the year. Yay!
So this evening, Ms. Zapatini and I will be working together to do this. So the first classified employee of the year that we would like to acknowledge and congratulate is Mr. Derek Bosserman. And he's coming, go ahead.
Kelly has to wait.
It's okay. We'll get her.
Tell Kelly she's got to wait.
Go here.
So, woo-hoo! Come on up, Derek. So Derek has been with us for 10 years in the district. And I want to kind of say before, and Derek, you're going to be the first one, but all of our classified employees in our district are amazing people. And I was reading through what was written about all 6 of these people, and I happen to know all of them. I've been here quite a long time with them. And what sets them here apart is their relationships, is one of the main things that came up. And then always going the extra mile. When I could talk about Derek, it's just, you define relationships with kids, with parents, with your coworkers. You were always there to step up. You drove the COVID test this year. When we needed people to help, like when we weren't having buses, you jumped in to help at sites. But you are loved by your kids and you're loved by your coworkers. So thank you so much for everything you do. Okay, go. Oh. Yes. Actually, you guys can go. Here, hold that, and you guys can go. So you're the first one, so what you get to do is you get to walk in front and they get to say hi or fist bumps or whatever.
Yay! Fist bump, elbow bump, way to go. Yay! I wave at you every day.
It's on there.
I tried to wave back when I see you guys. My vehicle's a little easier to see than some of the others.
That's true.
Good work, Derek.
What? Oh. So our next, Yay, Derek. I think you're one of, so the next employee that we would like to recognize is Melissa Cruz.
So I'm really excited to talk about this special lady. Number one, she's been with us 19 years, okay? But she started before that as a student with us, and then started subbing in the program, and working her way up through the program. She also has, during the time that she's there, she got her AA in 2016. But what I really love about Melissa is that she is always so encouraging to everybody in the STEP program, and she has built her team there, and she continues, especially in COVID. You did stuff well over and beyond with your site, just trying to make it work for employees, trying to make it work for kids. She stepped up and she took the presidency of CSEA on top of all of that. She is raising 4 children herself, so a pretty amazing person, and we're so lucky and so glad that you're with us. Thank you.
These are fully back.
Yes, right. Sorry. It's Cindy's phone, so I've got to do it. Sorry.
Congratulations. Yay. Good job. Good job. Good job. Thank you.
Oh, that's good for
Hugs next year.
I know.
okay, so now it's Dana. Okay, Miss.
Our next employee is Miss Dana Gilbert from Technology Information Services.
So again, I'm going to talk about Dana about going up and over everything in order to do it. So Dana has been with us what seems like a long time, but just 5 years. And in that time, you've made a marked difference in our lives. The lives of our kids would have been very dark without your support of all the one-on-one technology is the huge gift that you have brought. And when we had to go into distance learning, within a few days, she rallied up 1,500 devices, got them all up and running and out to our kids so all our kids could do it. It's just one of the many things that she does. So we just really, truly appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Okay, he doesn't trust my picture. I have to do it on Google. Whatever, mine's gonna be better.
Congratulations.
No.
Dana, you gotta go this way.
You're
doing this one?
Yay! Happy hugs.
So, Jeff mentioned how I have the COVID contact tracing for Adela too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dana. Our next employee is Adela Gonzalez del Valle.
So, Adela, you are the queen of relationships. You make connections between students, school, parents, community, and it just extends out. One of your most recent things, you've been doing the contact tracing that has seriously helped not only our nurses, but our families that really don't understand all that, and you just have been critical in that. But you also make relationships where you go out on the playground when we're in, and kids are running up to you, grabbing you, then you have parents coming. Everything you do is all about how you have passion about people and that the connections that you make. So thank you so much for everything. You'll have to hold up for the picture.
Come on. I'm gonna get Stephanie.
Oh, that's right.
Yay! Oh, you guys are so cute. Awesome. Thank you. Yay! Hugs. Here we go, woman. Double dose it. Yay, Della.
Claudine.
Yay.
Our next employee is Miss Claudine Kratz from Tahoe Lake Elementary.
Claudine, you are such a powerful person. You are the face of Tahoe Lake Elementary. And when we talk about going up and overboard and everything, of course, I've told you at 7 o'clock at night you need to go home. But you always doing it with your exude happiness and smiles. All the kids know you, all the parents know you there. I know that Stephanie is like worships the ground you walk on. Okay, but thank you so much for your heart and what you bring to our kids and to our district.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Welcome.
Yay. The A-team here. Thank you, Kelly.
Yay. Claudine, whoa. Gotta go through the line. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, look at those.
And last but certainly not least, Miss Juana Torres from Food Services.
So, Juana, I first want to tell you how beautiful you look tonight, and I'll admit, I went, who is that person? Because we always see you you're always in your apron and there, and we just really want to thank you so much because you work at KBE, and you have provided meals not just to our kids, to the staff, but to the whole community. Your heart is in it, and you're out there doing the curbside meals, but people say when you cook, they come. Most of the teachers actually get food from you because of how great it smells, how great it cooks, or it tastes and everything. Thank you so much for all of your help and your work. We're going to get pictures. We got to do pictures first.
Should we get one from you? Yeah. Can we do that? Right in there. All right. Yay. Yay. This is the one thing I get to do. All right, you guys smell good? Oh, look at all the colors. That's good.
I know, look at that. Juana, nice work. Thank you.
Good job,
work, partner. Anytime.
Thank you to everyone who made that happen. And to our amazing classified employees of the year. Yes, wonderful. Yes, finally. So now we actually have resolutions this evening. We have 5 resolutions, so we'll get started on those. The first resolution is an incredibly important one, and that is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, this is Resolution 15, 2020-21, Mental Health Awareness Month. This recognizes the month of May 2021 as Mental Health Awareness Month to enhance public awareness of mental health and dispel the stigma surrounding it. By officially recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month, we believe we can help unite our district, our community members to share a vision of improved mental health and equality. As our country continues to grapple with all of the impacts of COVID-19 and pandemic, it is important to recognize and bring awareness to each other's individual mental health needs. So staff is requesting that board approve the resolution for Mental Health Awareness Month.
Any questions from board members? Any public comment on this item?
No public comment on this item.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 15, Mental Health Awareness Month, May 2021.
I'll second.
Excuse me. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next, we have item 10.2, which is a resolution of intent to convey an easement to the Tahoe City PUD at Tahoe Lake Elementary.
Okay, thank you. So this is related to the Tahoe Lake Elementary Modernization Expansion Project, where we had new utility line hookups on our campus and actually off campus that connected to the main line, water line specifically, through Tahoe City PUD. So oftentimes when we add new utility connections or infrastructure, we need to do a conveyance of that portion of property where the infrastructure is located to allow access for the utility district to come on our campus and provide maintenance on those different infrastructure components. So that's what this is. This is an intent to convey property, meaning this is actually the first step in a two-step process. So if the board approves this resolution, then what we do next is we have a public hearing to see if there's any public comments regarding conveying this easement, and then we actually approve the easement at the next board meeting. In addition, if the board does approve this, we'll bring this back along with another piece which is called a bill of sale, and we're not really selling property, but there was some infrastructure improvements that were done where the district basically paid for capital improvements to bring the water line across the street on Grove Street to connect to the main water line with the public utility district. And what we're going to do with that bill of sale is essentially convey that infrastructure improvement over to them, so then they'll be responsible for maintaining it.
Sounds logical. Any questions from board members? Any public comment on this item? Would someone like to make a motion on this resolution?
I'll make a motion on resolution number 16.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next, we have recognition of School Nurse Day. They should get like a year during COVID, like after COVID's over, May 12th, 2021.
As you well know, our nurses and school nurses everywhere have served a very important role in improving public health and ensuring our students' academic success for more than 100 years. They act as a liaison to the school, community, parents, and healthcare providers on behalf of children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcomes. TTUSD joins the NEA in conjunction with the National Association of School Nurses in celebrating and acknowledging the accomplishments of our nurses and their efforts in meeting the needs of today's students by improving the delivery of health and we offer gratitude for them and their contribution, most especially this year. So staff is requesting that the resolution be passed, that this year, Wednesday, May 12th, has been designated as School Nurses Day.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Any public comment? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll also acknowledge the fact that this should be the school nurse year, and I will make a motion to approve Resolution 17.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Great. So in preparation, I do have 2 public comments on the next item, and I've lost my fetcher.
10.4?
Kelly Norse.
Yes.
They already came.
They did.
Yes, he was number 3.
Okay. Then, I stand corrected. Thank you so much, Lupita. So next we have our Teacher Appreciation Week and California Day of the Teacher, May 3rd to 7th.
Since 1982, the Day of the Teacher became an annual celebration in the state of California. All public schools and educational institutions shall observe this day with suitable exercising, commemorating, and directing attentions to teachers and the teaching profession. This year, Tuesday, May 4th, has been designated a California Day of the Teacher, and May 3rd through the 7th, 2021, as Teacher Appreciation Week. Staff is requesting that the board recognize and pass this resolution for Teacher Appreciation Week and California Day of the Teacher.
Thank you. And any additional public comment electronically? Any questions from board members? Would someone like to move approval of Teacher Appreciation Week?
I will make a motion to approve 18.
Resolution 18?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you. And then next we have a recognition of our Classified School Employee Week. And that is the next week, May 16th to 22nd.
Yes. The week of May 16th to 22nd has been designated as Classified School Employee Week in the state of California. The classified staff of TTUSD continues to provide valuable services to students, other staff members, and the community. Classified staff has been a direct effect on the quality of our district's educational program. Therefore, a recognition of classified employees is most deserved. So staff is requesting that the board approve resolution number 19, recognition of Classified School Employee Week, and Tahoe Truckee Unified School District's excellent classified staff, May 16th through the 22nd.
Thank you. Any questions? Any public comment? Would someone like to make a motion on this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 19, and yes, that's what I'll do.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you. We so appreciate these amazing employees of our school district. Next, we have our consent agenda. Does staff wish to pull any items from the consent agenda?
No, we do not.
Would a board member like to pull any items from the consent agenda? Would someone like to move the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay. Next, we get to move on to our association reports, and we're going to start with the CSEA.
I could have done that for you, I'm sorry.
You are on. I missed a spot. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Melissa Cruz, chapter president for CSEA. Thanks for the great celebration. That was really, really wonderful. It does make us feel like we're going back to normal a little bit, which is really nice. I don't have a ton to report tonight on behalf of CSEA. Things have calmed down quite a bit since we've gone back to in-person instruction, which is really great. But I have a couple of things I wanted to talk about. First, we do have our first date for negotiations on the calendar, which is great. Very exciting. We'll start that in a couple next week. Second, I checked with my awesome team of members and kind of wanted to see if anybody had some input that they wanted me to talk about tonight. And one thing that I really got was a statement from transportation from someone. So I'm just going to read a little portion of what they said so I don't mess it up with my own words. As far as transportation goes, we are shorthanded personnel-wise as usual, but everybody's pitching in to make things work. We have dispatchers, trainers, and garage staff driving routes, and 2 retirees just returned to help us get to the end of the year. Shout out to transportation. And I totally agree. They are amazing, and they're doing a great job. Last but not least, is kind of more on a personal note from my standpoint. As you guys all know, we as CSEA stand to support our wonderful teachers. We appreciate them tremendously. We believe that we all deserve a fair rate, raise, wage increase. I grew up in this school district, as Joan mentioned earlier. I graduated from Truckee High. I started at Truckee L with kindergarten all the way through. All of my kids will graduate from Truckee High. And I had some of the teachers that are still here. Not very many of them.
My dad graduated from Truckee High. My sister did. I mean, my husband did. So with that said, having the continuity and retention of these teachers is hugely impactful for students and community members. And now I work for the district, and I work with many, many CSEA members who also went through our school system and now work with all of us. And I just wanted to point that out. It's pretty amazing to be able to go to school somewhere, live in this beautiful area, and then get to work here and raise our own families here. And so being able to keep us here is very important. And I know that we all can agree on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Melissa. We definitely agree on that. And now TTEA, is that you tonight, Nick? Okay.
Okay, I think you're good to go.
Okay. Here. Okay. Well, good evening. Members of the board, executive cabinet, all of our virtual attendees, and everybody who's here. My name is Nick Fertitta, and I will be providing the board report tonight for TTEA. I am a teacher at Truckee High School, as well as the vice president and grievance chair for our association. And speaking of grievances, it's hot in here. I could help you guys out. I know you're not members, but I'll do what I can. These fans are great, by the way. Thank you. So it's hard to believe, but this is my 30th year in Tahoe, Truckee. Now, 13 of those were as a student, so I'm not bragging. But when I realized this is my 17th year as an educator, it makes me realize that somewhere along the line, right, I got old. And you know, saying that and echoing kind of the thoughts on, I also graduated from Truckee High School. Mr. Brady was one of my teachers, so kind of a weird thing. I know, yeah, right, he knows. We tell him all the time. During my years as a student in Tahoe, Truckee, I paid attention to the normal things that a student would: friends, sports, vacation. I remember that at one point, actually, part of this room was part of Mr. Brady's English class when he taught here at this school. Next door in the gym, Mr. and Mrs. Deschler, along with Mr. Bazio, taught PE. And actually, part of the superintendent's office was my 4th grade classroom, and that is the location of my only F in my educational career. It was in history, and I forgot to mention that I teach history, but it's a little bit late because I have tenure, so sorry. So, you know, in terms of, you know, going to school and then being, you know, after college, I moved back to Truckee, and was fortunate enough to be hired in my current position in 2004. My wife, who's also a Truckee High graduate and teacher in the district as well, and I were fortunate enough to buy a home in 2015. And we have 2 kids who are also both students in the district. So, bona fides aside, why am I here tonight? You know, aside from drawing the short straw for the board, no, I'm just kidding. I feel like I've seen some ups and downs throughout my 17 years as a teacher. You kind of notice that stuff a little bit when you're a student. And so while I sincerely feel that the ups have definitely outweighed the downs, it feels like the last year and a half or so, and you might agree, has been trending a little bit more towards the latter. I've been writing these notes off and on for about the past 6 months or so, and at the last board meeting, Galen actually said something that resonated with me. After Kate Teller's board report, in his comments, he referenced the idea of perspective, and I think that's a very key thing for us in the current position that we're in. Perspective is a funny thing. Everybody's got it. Students have it, parents have it, superintendents have it, board members have it, and definitely teachers have it. However, it seems at times we have all lost sight of that, and that it is a contributing factor to our current situation. My goal tonight is to explore 3 questions, specifically surrounding TTA's relationship with the district. First, where are we? Second, how did we get here? And third, and probably most importantly, where do we go from here? Now, I hope I'm wrong, but it seems at times that email might contribute to the downfall of our civilization. Social media might be a close second, but at least there's a 50-50 chance that when you log on, you see a puppy or a cute kid, and you can kind of laugh about it. Not so much when you open up that work email. And I'm sure we all have had our share of those emails, especially over the last year. As a school board, you likely have the most constituencies to navigate. Parents, voters, community members, community organizations, the county and the state, students, and, here's the kicker, teachers. We hate email as teachers, but we love sending it. And sometimes those emails have been directed to board members. No doubt the board has received emails from teachers over the last years. I would venture to guess, though, that at least some of the recent emails have been different, either in quantity or tone. I would also guess that some of those emails have felt personal, and if that is the case, it is regrettable. It is in the midst of difficult conversations that we all should be more aware of the impact of our words. It is a two-way street, though. Comments in board meetings that praise teachers while compartmentalizing and at times reviling the elected association leadership could also be perceived as being personal. While there may be things that we do not agree on, I would like to assure you, as teachers, as an association, as parents of children in this district, members of our community, we respect your service to our towns, our district, and our students, bar none. As board members, your job can be a thankless one at times. We understand that. After all, you guys get January, I believe, as School Board Appreciation Month. So they sandwich you between New Year's Eve and the Super Bowl. So kind of a little tricky. Plus, you have to pass your own resolutions for board appreciation, which I could imagine might be a little bit awkward to propose, to second, and then to finally vote on. And while email, social media, and virtual public comment have made it easier than ever to criticize, you have remained committed to our district and to our students, and we thank you for that. So on to the questions. Question number one, where are we? I think the answer to that question can be summed up as not where we want to be, and that could be the collective perspective possibly. And over the last year and a half, our common principles of collaboration and cooperation have been under pressure. Those characteristics that we have prided ourselves on have rather quickly been replaced with things like purple shirts, grievances, impasse, mediation, and words that we have not thrown around, and I don't think anybody wants to throw around. Whatever your perspective, the open and honest dialogue that we have worked so hard to establish and maintain feels different. We do not trust each other as much as we used to, and our lines of communication have been disrupted. All of this is counterproductive to our common shared goal number one, which is students. Question number two, how did we get here? In what I would call the first chapter of my teaching career, relations between TTA and TTUSD were not great. Now, as a new teacher, oftentimes you don't know all the history surrounding that relationship, and our association tries to be conscious about putting too much on new teachers. New teachers have a tough enough job as it is, let alone to saddle them with association activities and try to bring them up to speed. So we try to insulate them as much as possible, and it was no different when I was a new teacher and the union leadership at the time. Board meetings lasted into all hours of the night. I was at one, I think at 11 p.m. one time, which nobody wants that. Public comment could get extremely heated back and forth between public, board, public teacher. It was a mess. Pink slips were a March norm. I received 3 of them my first 3 years, and it was just cut and we'll figure it out. And trust was virtually non-existent. It was in every sense of the word adversarial. Morale, at least in my career, in those 17 years, was definitely at its lowest point that I've seen it. The next chapter began, and we embarked on a listening and learning tour. And slowly, we began to make progress. Each side made attempts to build trust through a collaborative process. Yes, there were setbacks and differences of opinion, but they were respectful. And through the process of engagement, a lasting dialogue was built and maintained. During that time, our district made great strides. I even carpooled to a budget workshop with Todd. I don't know if he remembers that. I felt badly at the time because Todd had to remove one of the car seats in the back seat, and anybody who's done that before knows what a fun time that is. But imagine that for a second, that the director of business services was giving a union rep a ride to a budget meeting. Would that happen today? During the second chapter, both sides placed a high priority on resolving differences before they became problems. We met regularly, and the lines of communication were always open. We even established a tradition of planning and splitting some of the costs associated with the convocation barbecue, the annual convocation barbecue. And COVID aside, I would ask the same question: would that happen today? It is my belief that our relationship first came under strain during last year's year of austerity. When negotiations opened and TTA proposed a salary increase, it felt like that proposal was taken personally. And here is where perspective comes in. Kim has often referred to the board's fiduciary responsibility to remain solvent now and for the future. We acknowledge and respect that perspective and that responsibility that you have. As an association, our responsibility is to advocate for our members. And we would ask that you acknowledge and respect that part too, and that it's not personal. It's not like our negotiation team goes rogue and unilaterally decides what to do at the table. We survey our members, often multiple times, to determine what exactly do we come to the table with. In 2020, we had a different interpretation of the numbers, as we do this year. That's not uncommon for two different sides to see numbers in a different way. At the time, our request, and this is 2020, at the time, our request for all costs to the district, including construction, seemed to be taken as a lack of trust, and were taken, again, what we felt from our perspective, personally. We were asked to accept zero, and from our perspective, for our members, that ask requires more than a leap of faith on our part. Then, March 2020, COVID hits. Despite our differences, we managed to put them aside and concluded negotiations. We then got to work figuring out how to best serve our students. However, from our perspective and in our current climate, it seems that some of those feelings, those hard feelings, are still in place. And that brings us to this year. There have been times this year where it felt like the union was being held up as the obstacle to reopening schools. The wording in press releases regarding MOU negotiations led many in our community and even some in our association to conclude that it was TTEA who had the power to dictate whether schools would reopen or not. As we all know, the district was required to talk with their respective bargaining units. However, the decision ultimately lied with Tahoe Truckee Unified School District. Teachers were asked these questions by their friends, their neighbors, and random strangers via the aforementioned tool of email. To her credit, when TTA discussed this with Carmen, there did seem to be an effort at a change in tone, and we appreciate that. As a public entity, we respect the district's desire to be transparent. At the last board meeting, there were several comments, some by teachers, probably most by teachers, in reference to the decision to share pretty detailed information regarding negotiations publicly. If it is truly your perspective that you wish to issue those details, then okay, we would welcome further conversations regarding that. Just realize that from our perspective, teachers and the union's perspective, that is a significant departure from past practice. We worry that if this becomes the new dynamic, it will likely create an atmosphere of competition of who can craft and spin the best message for public consumption. And that will further drive us apart. This brings me to my final question. Where are we going? I'm worried that we've entered or are entering a new chapter, a phase in which there is a lack of trust on all sides, and an increasingly combative and adversarial relationship. If we continue down this road, our collective concern should be whether a reconciliation is even possible. It is unfortunate on all sides and for all sides, but it does feel like we are approaching that point. I am concerned for us as an institution. The things we do today make a difference tomorrow. In our social studies classes, we discuss human nature's tendency toward tribalism, our need to associate ourselves with like-minded people, our proclivity toward confirmation bias make compromise difficult. So my question for all of us tonight is, do we retreat to our respective corners, resign ourselves to the momentum of our current situation, or do we, as the adults in the room, figure out a way to get us all back to our number one priority? At the end of the day, we should focus on the fact that we have more in common than we don't. With that in mind, I wanted to end on something that I think we all can agree on. And that is we, all of us, as a district, have a great deal to be proud of. In addition to our annual achievements, TTEA wanted to recognize a few individuals and groups that have made the last year and a half the best that it possibly could be. A top 10 list, if you will, in no particular order. Okay, let me make sure. So, as a district, teachers, class, every member, however many employees we have as a district and the board as well, we made the switch to distance after 2 days. Some schools took weeks or even longer. Tahoe Truckee was ahead of the curve in reopening in hybrid and eventually in 5-day in person. This is a credit to that prior established collaborative relationship. Number 2, Mr. Ed Hilton and his army of techs worked hard to get internet access for our students, and some teachers included, so that they would be able to attend classes online. Chromebooks were repaired and distributed, and most challenging of all, they helped teachers, who for some, the digital divide may as well be the Grand Canyon, to get up and running with their classes. Imagine for a second where our district would have been had we not put that technological infrastructure plan in place years ago. I mean, there were districts in that position, and it wasn't a good thing. We may have been building the car a little bit while we were driving it during those early days, but we got better, and definitely kind of a tribute there. So to Ed and all the people in his department, a very good job. Number 3, site administrators. Site administrators stepped up, plugged as many holes as they could, chased down as many resources for their teachers. They tracked down students who were not attending and tried to make sure that our schools persevered as a community. Number 4, Todd, the procurement wizard, as he may become to be known. Plastic shields, air purifiers, MERV filters, and other PPE. I'm sure that's not what he had in mind when he was going through business school and accounting. But in all seriousness, your efforts do not go unnoticed, and they're greatly appreciated. 5, food services. Never missed a beat. They stepped up and fed our community. Seriously, an amazing job, and hats off, hands down, a great job. Number 6, custodians, who have kept our buildings open, clean, and safe. Even more than usual, you have exceeded the label of essential. Number 7, transportation, who has a difficult job under normal circumstances, figured out ways to get buses for those students who needed it the most and get them to school. Number 8, maintenance, site secretaries, instructional aides. I'll even give a shout out to Fiona, our local canine at Truckee High School. Across the district, everybody stepped up and made this thing happen. Number 9, parents. As honorary, unpaid employees of our district since March of last year, well done. Our learning curves were steep, but we've done the best that we could. Finally, number 10, while some may call it pandering, I am a TTA officer, and it is Teacher Appreciation Week, so I would probably get into a little bit of trouble if I didn't throw some love the teachers' way. While teachers are not alone in this feeling, the last year has been hard. I have a few shout-outs for teachers as we kind of wrap up here. First, again, no particular order, I don't want to get in trouble. But first, Cohort C elementary teachers. Multiple grade levels, 100% online, prepping synchronous and asynchronous, 2 words I hope to never say again, instruction at all hours of the day, the night, and the weekends, all to educate the newest members of our district. We all know the importance of childhood literacy, and these teachers are working hard to achieve that goal. Parents, board members, random strangers, and as long as it's not creepy, please reach out to this special group of educators and let them know that their efforts have not gone unnoticed. And any kind of added teacher that you can throw their way would be great. Second, teachers that support our specific populations. This model, both distance, hybrid, half in person, presents significant challenges for those teachers to get to know their students, who in some cases they will have for years throughout the entire time. These teachers support our students who need the structure and support of a normal learning environment, and I think we can all agree that the last year has been anything but normal. So thank you to those teachers. Teachers with hands-on subjects, PE, science, music, and art, to name a few, your creativity and adaptability has been inspiring. Coaches and extracurricular advisors, whether teachers or not, we have an active and engaged community. The levels of participation in extracurricular activities by our student bodies reflect that commitment. You have figured out ways to help provide at least partial seasons for our students, and they will never forget it. Finally, I would also echo, even though they were talked about earlier, but they deserve to constantly be talked about, is our school nurses. Vastly outnumbered for the work that they have to do, but hats off to them this year and all of the people that support them. In closing, I'll leave you with this. I don't like purple. I don't want to wear purple. I don't like the Vikings. I don't really like the Lakers, and I don't trust Barney. So all that purple is out there. I have one pair of black pants that matches this shirt. Help me. TTA is the largest bargaining group in the district. We realize that whatever agreement we reach helps influence the agreements that the other labor groups get in our district. We also understand that plays into the math when discussing settlement options. We would like to be clear that we also support a comparable raise and increase for our classified staff. And while we may not always agree with our site administrators, we recognize their hard work and their dedication to our collective profession, and we support a fair increase for them as well. The mediation process that begins next week will allow for flexibility in coming up with potential creative options. I assure you, we will have creative proposals. You may disagree with some of them, and we may disagree with some of yours. Let us both commit to making sure we take each other's perspectives into account and not take things personally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate those thoughts. Next, we're going to move on to educational services, curriculum, and instruction. And we have a first read of a new high school course. And, you know, this is college and career readiness, 9th grade, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And you know what? I'm really proud of this because this was listening to student voice that we've done over the years. And that this is something that they told us that they really wanted to have happen. So, sorry, I guess that was my comment before the comments. I'll be quiet now.
Ms. Simpson, if you want to provide some details regarding this item?
Yes. Oops, sorry. I ditto what Kim just said, because this all really started with the adulting class, right? And now it's just continued to develop. And when I was thinking about why this is so near and dear to my heart is because these kinds of courses that we have really truly help provide our students the opportunity to be ready for college, career, and life. So it's the combination of the three. And that it also not only makes sure that all doors are open for all of our students, but that we're walking through those doors, supporting our students, even beyond 12th grade in some cases, right? We always hear the stories of the students that are coming back, you know, asking for support. So I just am continuing to be very excited about this. You got a chance to see what the courses are about. A big part of this process is for students to not only explore different career and college paths, but also to find out what it takes to go into those areas that they might be interested in, and then to develop goals and an action plan, and then have the support of the school staff, beyond the classroom teachers in many cases, to achieve those goals. So it's here for a first read, and I'm just continue to be very excited about these courses.
So this is information only this evening. Do board members have questions? Galen?
Yeah, I have one question. As I read that, it seemed that this also includes trades,
Yes.
information, and yes. great.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes. All of our courses are expanding in that area, college, career, and life.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, let's move it forward. You heard my comment, so, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have a job description approval.
Yes, Ms. Apatini is going to provide the details regarding this job description.
So actually, I am going to, this has to do with the reorganization in the Educational Services Department, so I'm going to ask Val Simpson to speak to that.
Just, Jeff.
I could have
show me
done
how to
that.
Turn it off or turn it back on. So yes, so this new job description that we're bringing forward, curriculum, oh my gosh, I get it so, too many words in it. Basically, it's a position that we had an opportunity to reorganize. A person that held a similar position resigned. And so this position not only is going to be the point person for making sure we have instructional materials and licenses. Now we've really gotten into those platforms. And also a point person for different learning management systems to help monitor student learning and growth. And that person will be like a kind of an expert in how those programs work and a support person. And then also to help provide support to the department and the school district around, how do I pull this report? I want to answer this question around data. That person can be a resource for us in that way too.
Questions of board members? I know we have no public comment, so no. Would someone like to move to approve this job description?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the new job description, 15.1.
I'll second.
Caitlin, do you have a comment, or you're just going, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we have a business services. We have 4 facilities items. The first is a change order for Tahoe Lake. And the second one is too, Dee Dee. I know you love these.
Thank you. So we are almost done with Tahoe Lake, and as we go through the closeout process, we're going to see the last few and final change orders, and most of this was pretty much accounted for during our budget revisions that we did at the time we issued our certificates of participation. But this particular change order is for Burco Constructors, and it's for changes to the doors, frames, and door hardware. During the course of the modernization, they discovered that some of the existing doors and hardware did not meet building and fire code. So they had to change those out and redesign those. So the amount for this is $122,183. $54,527 of that was in the original anticipated December budget revision. The remaining $67,656 will be coming from the project contingency, which was part of the revised budget as well.
Questions for Todd?
The only question I was going to ask on that would be the doors. You said that this was the older doors in the building that needed to be redone. Did this has nothing to do with the fact that the doors, that the locks that they had before needed help in the beginning? Did they fix that prior? Like I think in the beginning when we first got there, the doors weren't able to lock, or they couldn't unlock.
I'm not sure on that.
Okay, so this has anything to do with that.
Detail for sure.
All right,
though.
this is the older doors. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Would someone like to make a motion on this item?
I'll move that we approve change order number 42 for Burco Construction.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next is an additional change order for Tahoe Lake Elementary with the California Environmental Systems.
Thank you. So this is another change order related to the Tahoe Lake modernization and new construction project. It's for California Environmental Systems, who was our abatement contractor on that job. And this is essentially associated with the extension of the schedule from the time we had the lead contamination to when we actually finished the project several months later. So this was something that was anticipated in our December budget update, December 2019 budget update. So the total of this is $172,962. Of that, $168,302 was estimated originally in our budget revision. The remaining will be covered by the contingency.
Questions? Thank you again, Galen, for being part of our facilities group, keeping a really close eye on this.
You're welcome.
It's almost done. You're almost done with that job.
Me too.
I'm not asking for public comment, so if someone in the room wants to, you need to let me know. And would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve change order number 08 for California Environmental Systems.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you so much. And then approve, I wish these guys were here, approve leaseback closeout for core construction for the Truckee High School modernization project. At some point, it would be really nice to celebrate that they did what they said they could do.
Yeah, absolutely, and we can schedule a tour anytime. I think it would be great to have the board go through that and just look at all the different changes. It's an amazing campus, and this is very exciting that this is reaching that final piece of that project for the modernization of the existing wings and the expansion of the library and administration area. So there's actually three components rolled into one on this. It's Amendment 3, which essentially is just a schedule extension. They had the original schedule that was planned for completion, but because there was some other things that during the closeout process that they needed to address, mostly regarding our HVAC systems and making adjustments to that, they stayed on the project, and this is core construction, stayed on the project a little bit longer, finishing up on April 28th with all the final closeout processes. The other piece is Amendment number 4, which is essentially doing a revision to the guaranteed maximum price. And if you remember, we did this under a leaseback delivery method, where core construction had put together what they called a guaranteed maximum price. It was supposed to be all-inclusive, including contingencies, allowances for certain unknowns and uncertainties, and gave us essentially a maximum price that this project would come in at. And what they do at the end of the project is they true that up. And, the allowances they don't use go back to the district. Any contingencies that they don't use go back to the district. And that's what's occurred here. Actually, the guarantee maximum price, the adjusted guarantee maximum price, is approximately $1.2 million less than what we adopted as a board with their contract. So that's $1.2 million in savings that we're experiencing on this project, and that's really due to Corps' just great work on this project, just their diligence and making sure that they were doing cost-effective work out there. The last piece is the board accepting the notice of completion for the project, which we will go and record that with Nevada County. And then what that does is it triggers the very final piece of the lease-back agreement. So we'll be bringing one more amendment to you. As part of the lease-back delivery method, we need to have a lease included in that. So included in that guarantee maximum price is $1 million that establishes a leasing relationship between the district and core construction. So that's the final piece. So we'll be bringing an amendment at the next board meeting, just basically authorizing that lease to start, essentially, and then we'll pay the final bill and we'll be done.
Cool beans. Any questions? I have a comment. It's just amazing to have, we knew that we had amazing programs. We knew that we had amazing teaching going on. And it feels really good to match our facilities to those same levels. And that's been our goal all along. And so that's great.
I have a comment. That was, congratulations on getting that through. That was a big deal, and I think that all of us, when we first started, none of us had gone through a bond project and the length of what it took to get us through there. And then, as much as I hate the change orders, I understand what they are. It's just, my nature, and that's why Galen's here. But in terms of the celebrating the positive, there are so many things, Todd, that happened in that whole project with the delays and the setbacks and the, uncovering and whatnots on all of them, the multitude of them. But the fact that the bond was sold for different pricing and all these things that were logistically out there that none of us really knew. I just have to say hats off to getting it together with all of everything that's gone on. But in the midst of all of this, having a closeout on a construction project, as Kim was saying, we should celebrate just go seeing it. I think it's something that was really a community-wide awesomeness. Like I'm sure the kids are loving it, but I think that it would be fun to get the public to see, what we did and how you did it and navigating all of that. Like, again, I learned a heap. There was a sugar ton of money involved in all of that and everyone bought in. So I appreciate all that. And unless anyone has any comments, I will make a motion to approve the lease back closeout of core construction.
I'll second.
It was all for you, Melanie. All in favor?
Aye.
This is a rebate that Dee Dee's been waiting for all 8 years.
That's right.
You should be a little more excited.
I will.
Aye.
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 Great, thank you.
Todd, can we frame this so you have it somewhere that just says approve?
We have one more item, and that's with Mesa Energy Systems for various school sites to integrate our Honeywell control system.
Thank you. So when we started our facility program, we embarked on, included with these projects was upgrading our HVAC control systems. However, there were a couple different campuses, well, not campuses, Alder Creek, transportation, and the district office that were not included in that original plan because there wasn't essentially funding for it through the facilities program. So we found a method to connect these other sites to our new HVAC control system that was a little bit more economical. So that's what this is. MCOR will be installing essentially interfaces and new tritium systems at Alder Creek Transportation, and was it the district office as well, I believe? So we ask the board approve this contract.
Thank you. Questions? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 16.4 with Mesa Energy.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Todd, I was momentarily distracted because Ms. Larson was giving you kudos up on the screen on the Zoom meeting for getting the HVAC to work properly. So that's pretty cool. Okay. So, we have first readings, which I did not see any questions in the homework. So we good with moving these board policies forward? Is that correct? We had no questions in the homework, right? Are we okay with putting these on the consent agenda? Terrific. And then we have two board business items tonight. The first is we are proposing to move.
Excuse me, President Sarek.
I'm sorry?
Didn't we have someone earlier who wanted to make a comment?
She left. She had to leave.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Good catch. We are planning to move a scheduled meeting. Superintendent Geisels?
Yes, our regularly scheduled meeting of June 2nd, we'd like to move to June 16th, and the reason being is we are preparing for the LCAP, and that would give staff more time to prepare data and convene a public hearing during the June 16th board meeting. So we're just moving it a little bit 1 week later. That's what staff is requesting.
It's more than a week. It's 2 weeks later.
I'm sorry, it's only Wednesday. Yes, you're right. I apologize.
I didn't go to Truckee schools, but I can do that.
It is very apparent that I did not. So.
Does anyone have any questions on this? Would someone like to make a motion to make this change?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you. Okay, comments of board members. Dee Dee, you want to start us out?
Yes. I attended the second of the Tuesday morning breakfast clubs at Grand Lebucken via my house. And just listen, Gustafson does her, little spiel, and then we kind of went through, this one was all about transportation. And the one thing that they did say that there's a new pilot program that's being presented that is a micro transit service, and it's a pilot program, and it's a web-based app similar to what they have at SQUA, where it ties in with TART in the sense that you can get a ride from your home into anywhere in town, and it's like a 15-minute turnaround. They'll pick you up with a van. You can put bikes on it. You can take dogs on it. But obviously it's an idea of trying to get less cars into the basin. But it was exciting. There was a lot of discussion in terms of what they're planning, a lot of questions because it was presented as a pilot. But just really kind of creative thinking in terms of how to get around in Tahoe. It is going to be an app that will be out like by, she said about the end of this month or June. It will start in June 24th. And then they also went into talked about how TART's got a lot more expanded timelines again. And then just it went through some of the transportation stuff that we do have, which I thought was really exciting. And I think it was good that they're obviously addressing the fact that there's so many cars. And we'll see how this goes. But I thought it was exciting, and it was fun to hear. I'm not sure what the next one is, but they used to do them in Truckee too. Are they still doing them in Truckee? Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyway, it was fun, and I'm glad I went. And that is it for me.
Thank you. Galen?
I'd just like to thank Nick Fertitta for his calm, objective, historic review, insightful, non-confrontational, and hopeful. Thank you.
Galen, thank you. Chris?
Thank you. I don't have a lot to report. I do have first of all, Mr. Fertitta, thank you. I echo what Trustee Larson is saying. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so I just had let me think. Okay, I had a question for you, Superintendent. I just wanted to clarify because I know that we are now at a point of impasse with TTEA, and my question is regarding the last date of negotiations. I just want to be clear. I understood that we canceled that because we went to impasse, correct? We didn't cancel it and then it went to impasse.
Correct.
Okay, I wanted to just be sure of that. And then Mr. Fertitta brought up Todd. I heard the word pink slips, and I just wanted to be sure, is the reserve that, my understanding is part of our goal with having high reserves, that would be something that would be addressed, right? If the economy goes south, if real estate goes south, the reserves are also to help for salary. Am I correct about that?
Yes, in a way. I mean, in a lot of circumstances, when you have a downturn in the economy, you can't make corrections and adjustments quick enough. So the idea of having a healthy reserve would be able to kind of float you through for a year or two until you can actually make those changes and adjustments, and to hopefully save jobs.
And I would say that that's exactly what happened during the last recession. And we weren't responsible for building that initial reserve. Actually, the legacy board that Kirsten was on it. But without those reserves, it would have been pretty awful here.
Okay,
but it helped us to feather our way through financially.
Specifically, my question is with salaries, though,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It would help with that.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Kirsten?
Well, just quickly, for obvious reasons, I'm doing this board meeting from my home because we are participating in the Truckee High School camp quarantine for COVID. And I really just wanted to thank the leadership, in particular, Jeff Santos, his team of nurses, in particular Zan, who I've been interacting with personally on and off throughout the last couple of days, and Mrs. Maloney and Mr. Newberger for not only handling this with incredible precise delicacy and the contract tracing, but in addition to that, they had the secondary problem of having to get all of the kids who were quarantined up and running so that they could take their CAST tests remotely, which hadn't been planned for. So that problem is still currently being resolved, but I just wanted to just put a tremendous amount of just, huge applause and your never-ending belief that this school will stay open and will be successful is felt profoundly throughout the community. And you're all doing just a fantastic job dealing with crisis after crisis after crisis. So just hats off to all of you, and thank you in particular.
Thank you, Kirsten. You stole some of my thunder because I was going to recognize those exact same folks, having lived through the Truckee High School situation over the last 2 weeks. And Superintendent Geisels, you are part of that team who has kept it together with responding. And, we are dealing with teenagers, but come on, you guys, let's pull it together and have graduation, for goodness sake, and prom and those other cool things that your parents want you to have and hopefully that you want to have. And then I also wanted to acknowledge Nick's comments. Nick, you've always been wonderful to work with. I'm more optimistic than you are. I don't think 1 year in a pandemic year of having challenges that we're having right now ruin a long-term relationship that has been established and has been honored with everyone. I do think words and demeanor, even at the negotiating table, matter. So just like they matter in the words and demeanor that we get in some letters that do feel super personal. So we do have to be careful with that and ascribing motivations. And it's we haven't finished the end of our public comment this evening, but I find myself totally agreeing with everybody's comment. Teachers, classified, management, everyone deserves as much as we can possibly pay. And that's what we've done over the last 10 or 12 years, and we will continue to do that. We have been very true to that, as well as being fiscally prudent, because what I don't want to do is pay people and then have to lay them off later. That would be the absolute worst outcome that we could have. So there's always that balance, right? And the other great thing that happened this week is I ordered Hope's graduation announcements. Yeah, so, cool things are happening. And I'm super optimistic. We're going to get out of this COVID. We're going to have great relationships as we move forward. So we have more public comment to listen to. So we're going to continue with that.
Okay, the next comment is from Laura Mater.
Hi, my name is Laura Mater. I'm a parent at Glenshire Elementary. I'm calling to comment with my support for the teachers union and their request for a fair raise. As a parent, I really value the fact that so many district teachers live in and are so involved in our community. With the current housing crisis and spike in home values, if the district is unable to support the teachers, they will be pushed out of our community. And once those teachers get pushed out, it's going to be permanent. We're never going to get them back. And I think that would be a real loss for our students and our district. Please negotiate fairly with our teachers and support them after everything they've done for us this year. Thanks so much.
The following comment is from Darcy Craig.
Hello, I'm calling this morning to speak with y'all about the mask mandate for children that are in school and for playing sports. And I am requesting that there not be a mask mandate for those families and kids that want to wear masks. They should be allowed to, and for those that do not want to, they should also be allowed to. But a mandate at this point is really detrimental to some of the kids' mental health as well as physical health. And there have been numerous studies through the CDC at this point, and various immunologists and epidemiologists that are saying that the masks, especially as the adults are being more vaccinated, are not what is needed for kids to stay healthy. We also know that this virus has a really low percentage of children that are getting sick from the virus and being transmitters. They've been back in school now for a few months, and there haven't been, any crazy outbreaks or community spread because of that. So I really think the mask mandate is something that needs to be reconsidered and removed from the schools. And again, letting that be the choice of the families and the parents for their kids. Thank you. And then the last thing too, the masks that most people are using are not meant to stop the transmission of the virus, right? Like a lot of these masks are very simple, and the kids are breathing and sneezing and all of these things into them all day and are not actually reducing the transmission of the virus. So as I said, there's really no reason to continue this strict mitigation efforts and putting these limitations on our kids. So thank you for hearing me, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Next comment is Catherine Markovich.
Catherine Scythian, and I really am in full support of the staff and teachers of the district getting a raise. It is impossible to raise a family on their salaries.
Nancy Lopez.
Hello, my name is Nancy, and I'm calling for the fair cost of living adjustment for the salaries of the teachers to keep up with inflation. And I know May is Teacher Appreciation Month, so I just wanted to thank all the teachers for their hard work this year due to COVID and also every year. And I hope that the board decides to reach a compromise for the negotiation for the teachers seeking the fair cost of living. So thank you very much for your time and for your service. And thank you, teachers. Bye-bye.
The next two comments are from community members who did not provide their name.
Thank you for allowing me this moment to make a comment. I'm a parent of one current Kings Beach elementary student with a second child hopefully joining KBE next fall. I'm calling first to say thank you to the amazing work of our teachers during this year of incredible stress, strain, and uncertainty as a result of the COVID pandemic. Teachers have done so much to support our students transitioning back and forth from in-person to online learning with only a few days' notice, all the while giving our students a stable and safe learning environment. Thank you. I'm also calling to urge the board and district to agree to the reasonable, fair, and fiscally responsible raise schedule the teachers have asked for. Housing revenue and property taxes in our district, property taxes that our district depends on are only going up. It is the district and school board's responsibility to provide our dedicated teachers fair compensation and a living wage that keeps pace with cost of living in our area. With district revenues at over 13% and property value taxes going up, the raise does not represent any financial risk to the district. However, not agreeing to the raise puts our district at risk of losing quality teachers and lowering the quality of education for our students, my children included.
Let's keep our quality teachers and keep our quality of education. I urge you to do the right thing and vote for the raise schedule teachers are asking for. Thank you.
I strongly support the teachers of the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District to get a salary raise proposed by the Tahoe Truckee Education Association.
The next one is from Michelle DeCoy.
I would like to vote in favor of unmasking our children for the 2021 and 2022 school year. I believe looking at the statistics that it does not match up with the recommended mask mandate. I don't think the virus is spreading through children. And if we look at other states that are completely open, they do not have outbreaks or high COVID statistics. I think it is not fair to our children to keep them breathing in their own air and missing out on emotional stability with friends and teachers. I think the kids need to see each other's smiling faces and be able to give each other a smile and talk with a friend without having a mask on. Thank you.
Jessica Fios.
Yes, hello. I am calling on behalf of the school teachers here in the Truckee Tahoe School District, as I know there's ongoing negotiations around their salary increases right now with the school board, and I wanted to, give my vote of support for the teachers. It has been quite a year for those teachers, and they have rolled with all the punches. They have kept the lights on, and they have kept educating the children in this community. And, as a taxpayer, and even one that doesn't have children, I just feel that, they should be getting the money that they deserve to do the work that they do. We all know that teachers inherently are underpaid. And then for them to not get the salary increases that were part of their last contract, and then to not be brought up to cost of living standards with this negotiation, just seems like a disservice, obviously, to the men and women who have been teaching our students for, the last how many years, but also to the students, because we're going to lose good teachers because they can't afford to live here and teach in this school district, and so they're going to start leaving. You're going to get younger, less experienced teachers who, can potentially afford to live here. I think that's just doing a disservice to the children here. And so I would like to add my vote of support towards the teachers, and then getting the increase in salaries that they deserve. Thank you.
Next one is Sue DeCoy.
My question is, what science is being used to make children have to wear face masks? Also, the freedom of children to breathe fresh air, to be able to communicate clearly, and to have facial recognition of peers and adults is very, very important. I also feel that the psychological effects of seeing people masked in their community as well as their peers is affecting our children. Please unmask our children and allow them the freedom to be a child. Thank you.
Dan DeCoy.
I feel that we should unmask our children for the 2021 and 2022 school year due to the science related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Science and statistics have shown that the pandemic, COVID-19, has a 97.99% survivability rate. Children do not fall in the at-risk category for COVID-19. People with underlying health conditions, however, do fall under that guidance and should take precautions. We did not mask our children during the H1N1 outbreak, and we do not mask our children for any kind of a flu season or flu outbreak. I believe that the children need to see each other smiling, they need to see each other's physical motions of their face while they are talking, smiling, eating, etc. It is detrimental to their social, emotional growth to be wearing a mask all day and not take one breath of fresh air. I do not believe, science has not proven that COVID-19 poses a risk among children.
Two more. One from Rachel Rowling.
Hi, my name is Rachel Rowling. I have 2 boys at Glenshire Elementary. And I'm calling in support of our teachers and in support of their cost of living raise. I think the teachers have done an amazing job over the last 15 months. And we are so lucky that we live here with a district with such wonderful teachers. As everybody knows, there's been a lot of changes over the last year, and one of those changes that has really impacted our community is, the housing situation with a lot of people moving into town with huge decreases in houses available to rent, huge increases in all of our the cost of living has just gone up drastically. So I am 100% in support of giving the teachers a cost of living raise. I also think we need to look towards the future and understand that one of the things that we all really appreciate in this community is our good schools and our good teachers, and we need to enable those teachers to continue to be part of this community and to continue to live here. And a part of that is making sure they can afford to live here. So again, my name is Rachel, and I hope that we'll do the right thing for our teachers. Thank you.
And the last comment is from Heather Emerson.
Hi, my name is Heather Emerson. I am a resident of the Glenshire community in Truckee. I've been living here for 17 years. I just wanted to leave a comment in support of the teachers' raises, especially after this last year. I really feel very passionate about how hard they've worked and how difficult it is for public servants to make a living here in Truckee. So my support for their raise, if you have any questions.
All right. Thank you. We are adjourned till our next meeting. Thank you so much.